Wow. Do I have something I need to get off my chest about Caitlin Clark from over the weekend and the end of last week? Man, the Caitlin Clark hate has now burned up.
Caitlin Clark just made some huge announcements that likely shocked the entire WNBA. Can we really pretend to be surprised? Most of you tuned in solely to see her carry the league on her back this season, and she's finally had enough. Yes, she's done. For good. And honestly, do you blame her? I know I wouldn't.
Physical defense she's faced at the professional level and voiced frustration with the league's officiating, recently telling reporters, quote, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me, and opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with." That's what Caitlin Clark said. That is what she said, okay? But to me, it's a bigger issue going on. And when this happened...
This league did not deserve her to begin with. She propelled a dormant club into the playoffs after a decade of obscurity, broke attendance records, increased ticket sales, and literally transformed her jersey into a bestseller. And what did she receive in return? A cheap eye poke, shoulder hits, 6-point technical fouls, unfounded claims of racism, and a reputation as a harsh player.
And you can see, now Caitlin Clark's tired, she's played the entire game, but she falls asleep on the defensive end, and this has been a pattern, and Mabry gets open for the dagger three that decides the game. Play the clip. Find it!
If that's how you're thanked for making the league watchable, I'd walk away as well. But do you know what actually broke her? What prompted her to release this bombshell now? What did she say to make it plain that she was done with everything? Let me give you the real scoop. You could see it coming from a mile away. Caitlin Clark's fury had been growing for weeks, but it peaked when the Indiana Fever were eliminated from the playoffs in a heartbreaking loss to the Connecticut Sun. She was not happy after what happened there.
Just not built for the physicality of this league. Yeah, and she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality. So
Clark was out there playing like her life depended on it with a score of 87, 81, dropping 25 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds, basically trying to bring her team to victory on her own. But guess what? Her teammates chose to slumber instead. Clark looked like a one-woman army, but her squad was fumbling around, missing shots, and making beginner blunders. Caitlin needs to have some sort of help from the other 4 players to win.
This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league, and she's a rookie.
Let's start with Temi Fagbenle. Where should I begin? Her performance was essentially a horror show. She bungled horribly, committing boneheaded errors like a shot clock violation at the worst possible time when the Fever absolutely needed to gain momentum. And when she wasn't standing about looking bewildered, she was shooting 0 for 3 and returning the ball to the Sun as if it were a memento. So, honestly, don't you agree with Gino when he stated,
"Yeah, but she needs to be on a better team, and she needs to be more experienced."
But wait on, Victoria Vivians was no better. A seasoned player who is expected to flourish under pressure? Nah, she chose to ghost instead, scoring 6 points on 2 of 10 shots. Seriously? 2 out of 10? She wasn't just missing shots. She was clanking wide-open looks that I could have converted. And then there's Kelsey Mitchell, the dependable scorer who went missing at the worst possible time. 9 points on 3 of 12 shooting. 3 out of 12 for someone who is expected to be one of Indiana's leading scorers. She seemed absolutely out of it, hesitating, passing up shots, and then shooting air balls. It's as if she had stage fear exactly when the Fever wanted her to be clutch.
Caitlin Clark was assaulted yesterday in her very first playoff game in the WNBA.
Clark was out there performing her heart out, and it was awful to watch everything disintegrate around her. Every time she hit a clutch 3 or made an outrageous move, her teammates would fall over themselves, pass the ball back to the Sun, and give Clark the helpless expression of, "Oops, my bad." Every missed shot and turnover was like a hit to the belly, as seen by her body language.
It's important that we point this out. One of the things that I brought up this morning in talking about Caitlin Clark is that some of the players, you want to use the word jealousy, fine. You want to use the word envy, fine. You want to use the word resentment. We want to play with words. That's cool. It's something. And I think that some of the ladies, not all, but some of the ladies in the WNBA are missing the point. And the point is, this girl right here is a box office attraction.
So when the final buzzer sounded and Clark stood there, shoulders dropped, gazing at the scoreboard, it was clear this wasn't simply a loss. This was a reality, a wake-up call that no matter how hard she pushed, how many shots she made or plays she made, it wouldn't be enough until she had a team that could support her. It wasn't simply the end of the playoffs, it was also the end of her patience.
A rising tide raises all boats. If Caitlin Clark is the quote-unquote savior, if she's the golden girl, milk it.
But Uncle Casey is here to tell ya, the celebration is over. Reality is knocking on the door of the porta potty. The truth is finally coming to the light. The same light that is going to be dimming here in about 12 hours when Caitlin Clark is eliminated from the playoffs.
The whole WNBA nearly fell out of their seats as Caitlin Clark broke the news. She's not only quitting the league, she's heading to Europe. That's right, the most exciting rookie in WNBA history has packed her things and announced, "I'm out." Can you honestly blame her? Clark realized she needed to reset after dealing with continual pressure, cheap shots, and stupidity. This announcement came only days after the Indiana Fever's disappointing playoff loss to the Connecticut Sun, and it's not surprising. Between leading her team to significance and receiving little assistance, something was destined to happen.
There were regular season games this season where Caitlin Clark drew more than 1.8 million viewers. However, I hope Kat Engelbert is ready for disappointment because there's a hell of a lot more of it on the way.
She made the announcement during a melancholy press conference on September 29, 2024, when she revealed that she will be playing overseas following season. "I need to reboot. I need to get away from all of this," she remarked, and you could see she was exhausted, both mentally and emotionally. She did not sugarcoat it either. She chastised the league for its poor officiating, lack of protection against dirty moves, and the constant criticism she received both on and off the court. It seemed as if she was throwing it all out there. "Yeah, I'm leaving because you guys made this place unbearable." But now everyone should recognize that this is more than simply a loss for Indiana. It's a financial and reputational nightmare for the whole league. Clark's debut was more than simply a rookie season. It was a full-fledged sensation. From the moment she went onto the court in May, viewership and ticket sales skyrocketed. Indiana Fever games quickly become must-see events.
To another level. I'm just looking at some of the numbers here. When we talk about league attendance, the Indiana Fever, all right, with Caitlin Clark, led the league in attendance both home and on the road. Fever averaged 17,035 at home, 15,000 on the road. Attendance for the entire league up nearly 50% this year, according to data from across the timeline. And Indiana leads all teams with an average attendance of, like I said, of 17,035. Merchandise sales are up.
Ticket sales skyrocketed by 60%, and every arena she performed in was full to the rafters. During her debut season, Clark alone attracted over 600,000 spectators to see her play. Consider this. One rookie drew in more than 500,000 people. She was more than simply a player. She was the major attraction, the driving force behind the league's rapid popularity spike.
The most dominant team in the league, they can't draw 500,000 viewers for a playoff game. Atlanta Dreamers and the New York Liberals. Again, the Liberals. They supposedly have stars. Remember when ESPN claimed that the Liberals had the new big three? Dreamers, Liberals, 410,000 viewers. The other game was the Phoenix Masculines and the Minnesota Lakers. Now, once again, the media claims that the Masculines are full of star power. Donna Taurasi, known for her decades-long career in the WNBA. Bob Greiner, known for trying to sneak Cheech and Chong into Mother Russia for her months-long vacation with Vlad Puder. According to the media, these are the players that you're interested in watching. So, how many of you guys watched on Sunday night? 403,000. And it's not just the ratings that were in the pooper, attendance was clogging the drain as well.
And it's not just about butts in seats. Clark was a money-earning machine. Merchandise sales, which had been dead for years, skyrocketed after her jersey reached the stores. By August 2024, her jersey had become the most popular in league history, outselling even luminaries like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Indiana's home court, has gone from being a ghost town to the most popular ticket in town. People were paying $200 just for courtside seats. Clark was not only creating history, but also generating revenue for the WNBA. And suddenly, poof, it's gone. With Clark leaving for Europe, the Fever and the WNBA are facing financial ruin. Simply look at the stats. Indiana's average attendance in 2023 was a pathetic 3,000 per game. However, once Clark arrived in 2024, it increased to 15,000 people every game, a staggering 400% increase, entirely owing to her. Do the math, and her presence alone generated more than $5 million in ticket sales during the regular season. Without her, the figures are no longer relevant. This is more than simply losing a star, it is also losing a golden goose. Clark's effect did not end at the merch booths. Her impact changed the landscape of radio. The Fever faced the New York Liberty on ESPN in June 2024, and the telecast garnered a whopping 1.5 million viewers. To put it into perspective, it is more than the typical NBA game on TNT. The WNBA has never seen such numbers before. Clark's games drew more viewers than contests involving superstars such as Breanna Stewart and Aja Wilson or Sabrina Ionescu and Kelsey Plum, which the league used to rely on to boost attention. Clark altered the narrative completely. But after all this, do you know what she received? Start counting with your fingers. First, Alyssa Thomas virtually screamed to the skies that Clark's popularity stems only from racial prejudices.
It's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly.
According to her, Clark's popularity stems solely from the fact that she is a white female dominating a sport dominated by black players. Excuse me. So I guess dropping 35 points a game and smashing records left and right means nothing now?
And we all know what this really is. It's an attack on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her fans are so racist.
Apparently, skill, hard effort, and outright dominance on the court are nothing if you have the wrong skin tone. What a joke. Dijanai Carrington took filthy to a whole new level in Game 1 of the playoffs. She not only fouled Clark, but she also jabbed her in the eye, briefly blinding her.
Swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark. No foul call. No refs stopping the game to go look. Is this a flagrant? None of that. Just everybody moved on.
And guess what? No fouls were called. Really, referees? Clark is staggering about like she's been pepper sprayed, and Carrington is dancing around like she hasn't just turned the game into a low-budget wrestling match.
Your biggest star, your meal ticket, the reason why you have relevancy, just got stabbed and assaulted and nothing.
Carrington was not alone in this sick game. Enter Candace Carter. She went to work on Clark's ribs, taking cheap, deceptive shots that should have gotten her expelled right away.
It's not a natural act. And I called it out yesterday in real time watching the game. Like, hey, that was on purpose. That was not an accident. And part of me thought initially, like, that was on purpose. Is Caitlin Clark making too much of it? Is she exaggerating it, trying to get the call? You can think both things. You can think, hey, this is on purpose and it's a dirty play, but you could also think, is Caitlin Clark making too much of this? And then later in the game when they mentioned like, hey, you can see the black eye on Caitlin Clark's face, I was like, oh, yeah, that was, it was intentional and it did real damage.
Clark is out there gasping for air like she's just run up Mount Everest, and Carter is throwing elbows like it's an MMA battle. And the referees? Probably too busy browsing through Instagram to notice. No whistle.
What I am upset about is like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season.
That is why, in the end, it was neither the physical toll nor the playoff losses that destroyed her. It was the utter pettiness, the persistent targeting, the way every offense against her was regarded as an afterthought while she was pounded for breathing too hard. But she has yet to purchase her tickets. It's as if she suddenly had the desire to relocate to Europe. And honestly, she should go for it, because that's probably the greatest decision she can make right now. What are your thoughts? Will she make the move, and will you follow her overseas?